Hope everybody's doing well. In this live today, as you can see, I've already gotten started with the painting, so you can get an idea of what we will paint. We are working again with the steps. We are doing the steps on wet media paper, and I have on my right side a brush that I will be dipping into oil. We have linseed oil. Ryan Miller says, yo, hey, what's up, homie? I'm so glad to see you joining again. We have missed you, to be honest, in the previous lives, but I'm glad you're passing by. It's been a better day than other days, and I'm hoping that I can share my happiness with you all today. Ryan, I'm doing good. How are you doing? I'm glad that you joined. You definitely bring an uplifting energy to that light. While we get a response, we will be adding a little bit of orange to my right side. I have some linseed and that linseed oil, with the help of a thin brush, will help me to blend, as you will see in the next few minutes. I am layering the colors that I need for the sky. Lastly, I want to add a little bit of light pink. I've added yellow, I've added orange, and now I will be adding some touches of pink. Now, because I want the yellow to be prominent, I will go back, make sure I filled in the white spaces with the yellow. Ryan, I'm so glad that you joined. I know it's late for you, but I'm glad you're here. So we will take dip it a little bit in our linseed oil, and we will start blending with the yellow. When we blend, we want to make sure that we are doing one color at a time. I'm sorry, Ryan, to hear you've been preoccupied, but I'm glad that you're here, and your presence is very valued, and there's no obligation for you to say anything or to stay. I'm simply, honestly happy that you're here. And we have Fuzzy K joining. I'm happy you're here, Fuzzy. I've been doing these lives for a while now, and it's nice to get to know you guys. So, Fuzzy K, what I'm doing is now taking that linseed oil, just a tiny bit, and I'm blending the pink colors with the orange. And the key in this painting is going to be to layer. So we will do this layer and then add more pastels on top of it. Fuzzy K, yo pretty, thank you. I appreciate you liking my art. I've been an artist for about 10 years now, a little more, and I have sold my art for about the same amount of time. And the reason that I'm leaving this middle space a little empty is because I will draw a tree after. Fuzzy K said, that reminds me of Bob Ross. I cannot compare, but I appreciate your comment more than you know. Thank you. I think that art, beauty, and appreciation is in the eye of the beholder. So if you think some art is pretty, it's because you are capable of knowing what is good art, and you have that beauty in you as well. So I will take the lighter pink and I will do some streaks next to the hot pink. The reason is I want the colors to work together. I want them to complement each other, not to mix, which works well sometimes. Thank you, Fuzzy K. It's about 10:30 where I am in Denver, Colorado. And I have to say, it's very nice to be doing this, to relax after a long day. I've been going live, Fuzzy K, about almost every day. And I also upload my recorded lives, so you can watch a live if you missed it right after I'm done. And anytime that I upload a live, it stays on my channel, so you can go back and watch. Thank you for joining and for watching. Where are you watching from, Fuzzy K? If you feel comfortable sharing, that would be nice to know. So now that I've added some extra layers to the sky, I will go back in with the hot pink, just to make sure we have some depth. And after that, I will do some layers of red. And Fuzzy K is watching from New Mexico. I have been to Albuquerque quite a few times. I think that the Mexican food there is really good. It is different, but it is really good. And it's chaotic, but Albuquerque has great weather. Great weather. So now that I'm done with this part of the sky, I will venture into doing the tree. And for that, just like on this tree over here, I will take a crimson color and draw very short, and just very lightly draw the trunk of that tree. And now, this tree, I want it to be different from the other one. This one, I want it to have some hot pink. However, I want it to have very distinguished leaves. And as you can see, this tree will look different from the other tree. And the key with this painting that we're doing is that we are playing around with a blue color. This blue is right here, in the shadows right here, and this blue is what gives the green shade to this tree, because when it mixes with the yellow, it gives a greenish tint. So I will just continue doing the shadows of the leaves. And I'm not following a light pattern specifically, not this time. Fuzzy K said she likes cheese fries because we're talking about New Mexico, and I think that's spot on. If there's one thing I remember from New Mexico is the cheese that they put on the Mexican food. I haven't been there in a while, but I hope I get to go. Now, I'm looking at the tree, and I wanted to have just one more shade, and that will be a purple. This is the lightest purple that I have, so we will see how this mixes. I will use it very lightly around the trunk and the branches because it's dark. Then we can move on to our little house here. For this house, I'm deciding I want to do some purple, and this time I will start with that purple. And again, I'm using oil pastels, and I am blending with linseed oil. And the type of paper that I'm using is mixed media with mixed media paper. Ryan said, I really like the colors on this, homie. Thank you so much. I have worked, believe it or not, for years to develop my own style, my own colors in my paintings, and I'm glad that you can recognize that. It means a lot to me. Thank you. I used to do realism. I used to do hyper realistic portraits, and I used to sell them, but it was not as rewarding, as doing my own style like I do now. And I know it's a lot more simple and fantasy-like, but I love it. I think it's rewarding. So I really appreciate you mentioning that. Now I want to add some red inside the door, and this is a concept that we were playing around with in one of the lives. We were talking about how the light of the sky can reflect onto the houses, even if they're not right in front of the source of the light. So what I will do here, I'm trying to think of a good color, and I think some very light blue would really suit the mix that we're going for. So I will take my lightest blue and I will pile it on, and I'm not too worried about definition here, because I will go back in and define with my pencil. I guess when it comes to doing oil pastels, that is cheating, but we have our own style around here. Now, the key here is going to be that linseed oil. So I will take my brush again, and I will lightly dip it into my oil, and I will start again by blending the lightest color. And I see a hint of yellow there from playing around with the other colors. That's okay, because we have yellow everywhere else, and it just adds to it. No worries, I moved the microphone so that you guys can hear the brush strokes and the pencil strokes, but it's okay if you cannot hear me. I am just yapping over here. But I hope you can hear the brush strokes a little better, and eventually we can get a better microphone. It's not a problem. So one trick I've learned about doing art is to lay your pinky when you are painting so that you have more control over the brush. So now we are blending all these colors, and because I want to add some texture, some more blue, I will go back in with that light blue, and I will define the roof and what will be the siding of the house. It's really windy where I am, and I'm wondering if you can hear the wind. So we will take our yellow, and I will mix the yellow with our light blue, just very lightly, enough that it does not turn into green, but you can see the yellow and the blue at the same time. Fuzzy is asking, how are you guys? And honestly, I'm doing pretty great. Thank you for asking. I get so relaxed when I do art. My mind just goes places. And sometimes that's exactly what I need. To go other places from the comfort of my home. So I will keep piling on the yellow, and I might even do it over the purple to get rid of the harsh lines. But careful not to do it too much, because then that might get rid of my shadows. And if I get rid of the shadow, I can pile on the yellow, because that also creates a contrast that can make your eye see more definition than there is. I will drag on the edge here a little bit to give it a whimsical look, because at the end of the day, we're making our own little world. Now, I will move on to defining the door. So I will take my blue pencil and lightly stroke around over the red. And be careful not to mix it too much, because if we do, then that might turn gray. Ryan, or sorry, Fuzzy is asking if I can add mushrooms, and I think that is a good idea, so we'll add mushrooms today. I think it perfectly fits our little world. So I will do a couple things here. I will mix the yellow that I've laid on to the little hills, and I will make the one in the back a little darker, just to give that energy of it being whimsical and things not really making sense, because I think that's the key to creating another world. If it's too real, then it looks like what we already have. So I will pile on some of that yellow so I can make it brighter. And after that, I will come back in with my brush and I will blend all that yellow that I just did. So I will take my brush and guess what? I'm going to dip it in the linseed oil and we will start mixing the yellow. I'll take some more oil, and because I want the yellow to be brighter and bright, I will stay away from picking up any other color that could make it great. So now, what I will do to get those little spots, I will take a little bit more oil and really work my yellow into those little spots very carefully so that I do not overmix it with our yellow hill. And what we will do next is leave the eye before we add our mushrooms requested by Fuzzy Killer. We will leave the eye with some streaks of color, just like we did here. And like I mentioned earlier, the trick will be to do layers. We will blend these colors out. And after that, we will add another layer of pencils. So I will take my brush, and guess what? I'm going to dip it in the linseed oil. Blend the streaks into the hill. So that we can really lead the eye. I want it to blend a little more so that I can do that. I will take, guess what? Some more linseed oil. So now, let's get on to that second layer that we were talking about. And we will be very minimalistic when it comes to these colors. using just a little bit to meet the eye. And I want to blend them as well with our brush, but just a little bit. Not as much as we did the other colors. Just a little bit, enough to lead the eye, but not too much, not to be too harsh. To still give it a little whimsical touch. Fuzzy K. I'm going to add now the little mushrooms requested. So I want to see them here. And I will be making first the tiny stems for the mushrooms. And then I will be taking my orange/red pencil, and because we're working so tiny here, we will do little circles and then we will fill out what's between them. If you guys can appreciate that with my camera, I'm just making tiny circles, leaving them empty in the middle, and making sure that I've outlined them. And we'll give it a little touch here. We'll do some blue for the shadows, because in this whimsical world we've created, all the shadows are blue. Lastly, I will just do a few shadows to lead the eye between the halos, so you know where the hail starts, where it ends. I will be careful not to overpower the yellow. Okay, I hope you liked the little mushrooms that we've added. I will add some shadows to the hill in the back to make it seem far away. And just adding some touches of this blue will give it depth. Will give depth to our painting. Ryan said it looks amazing. Thank you, Ryan. This is the world that we jumped into when we were abducted by the UFO in our first life. We were taken to this other dimension, this other world. Lastly, I will blend those streaks to make sure it's cohesive. And we will do the final touches here. Just blending out that blue, blending it into the hills, making the shadows appear. Now I'm going to clean my brushes, and I'm going to lightly tap into that blue that we have at the back so that it merges with our sky and it blends into our sky. And that is all that I have for you guys today. Kay and Ryan, I see you stayed until the end. I appreciate you guys so much, and remember, you can watch my lives if you've missed them by checking out my channel. I would really appreciate it if you like and subscribe so that you can see any more lives that I make. Thank you so much, guys. We'll stay in touch. Have a good night.